what defines the Class A motorhome? How is it different from the B and the C?
When I was a child, I was 12 years old, we took a trip to Arkansas, to the Buffalo River, right? This changed my life from then on. They are amazing. It's like a beautiful high-end home on the road.
There's definitely a scale, and where the customer may fall on that scale is definitely something that can be discovered. Because they're both Class A's.
Yeah.
I do know that there are differences, and that may fit different lifestyles.
It's built to handle it.
Right.
It's residential furniture, residential plumbing.
That's a good point.
Yeah, residential fridge.
Yeah,
The
let's
perfect
buy that.
RV is the one that you and your loved ones take off, start traveling, and seeing all the things that you've dreamed about seeing. That's the perfect RV.
That's awesome. Welcome back to The Perfect RV Match, the podcast where we help you find the RV that fits your lifestyle. Today we're shifting gears to one of the most iconic and luxurious types of RVs, the Class A motorhome. These are the big bus-style coaches you see on the highway, known for their spacious layouts, residential comforts, and smooth driving experience. But not all Class A's are the same, from gas-powered models that are perfect for families to high-end diesel pushers designed for full-time RV living. There's a lot to unpack. Joining me today is Woody, one of our most knowledgeable sales experts at Mesa Rec Van. And in this episode, he'll share what makes a Class A unique compared to other motorhome types, who a Class A is best suited for and what lifestyle it supports, and the difference between entry-level Class A's and luxury diesel coaches. By the end, you'll know if a Class A might be your perfect RV match. Let's dive in. Woody, welcome to the podcast. Thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for inviting me.
Absolutely. I know you've been doing this for a while now and have, worked with tons of customers. Just to start things off, even though we're going to dive into this conversation about Class A's quite a bit, but what's one standout experience when you were helping someone shop for their perfect RV match Class A motorhome?
Right. Well, I've got to tell you two. I can't just tell you one because I want to tell you my personal experience. When I was a child, I was 12 years old. We took a trip to Arkansas, to the Buffalo River, right? This changed my life from then on. In that motorhome, it was so awesome. We traveled that old curvy road, and you could just see everything through that panoramic window, like on the front of a Class A. We went up there and did a canoe trip, and it engraved in my life for the rest of my life about RVing. So that's my own personal experience.
That's
it's
awesome.
just, it'll change your life, right? To get out there. I always say it's next to going to church is get you an RV and go get in nature, right? The other one I have is just recently I had sold a Tiffin motorhome, which is a high-end motorhome. They're very luxurious. And this couple, they're kind of retired now, but they traveled a lot for their work. And she told me, she's like, Woody, we'd be on the road just hours and hours. She's like, my husband, he could just drive relentlessly. I'd get tired. I'd go back there and sleep.
Take a nap.
Had the AC on, the generators running, going down the road and just sleeping. And he'd be like, honey, can you grab me a sandwich? And we won't stop till we get to our next stop, So I think that was a really big one. She said how it just made their life possible, being in traveling sales at that time, having that Class A.
I love that. So tell me a little bit, let's introduce the Class A, right? So for someone who is brand new to RVing, what defines the Class A motorhome? How is it different from the B and the C, which is something we've talked about here on the podcast before?
So initially what I'd tell you to do is just imagine a profile, right? So profile like a bus, like a Greyhound bus, like that profile, that's a Class A. Now imagine that like a luxurious home. That's a high-end Class A motorhome. So it's that profile of like a bus, a very elegant bus. But when you get really high out, they have slide outs, beautiful kitchens. You have tile floors. They are amazing. It's like a beautiful high-end home on the road.
Love that. And I know that the customer that is looking for that high-end experience definitely tends to gravitate towards that Class A. And let's say someone who already maybe knows a little bit about the style of Class A's and what makes them different, how would you categorize what customer would maybe fit best into the Class A? And, what lifestyle does that usually lead to?
Well, I'll say this. I mean, I won't mention the famous person by name, but there's a very famous person who has a couple of our Tiffins. And that's exactly what you would expect them to show up in, right? A big, beautiful Class A diesel pusher, gloss tile floors, immaculate inside, slide outs everywhere, walk-in closet. That's what you can expect from a high-end Class A.
Thank you for explaining that and sharing what would pretty much be typical in a diesel pusher Class A. How does that differ from the gas styles? Because they're both Class A's.
Yeah.
I do know that there are differences, and that may fit different lifestyles. So tell me a little bit about that.
This is going to surprise you, right? Everyone thinks of a Class A as this big bus, 40, 45 foot tag axle, diesel pusher, $1 million. Those days, it's not just like that anymore, right? So you can get a 26-foot gas Class A motorhome. It's very affordable, very nice, still have slide outs, have all the amenities of a RV for a fraction of the cost. It'll fit in any of the state and federal parks. It's gas, so it's cheap and easy to operate. You can just drive it right into an RV spot. You don't have to back a fifth wheel or travel trailer back into a spot. It's just like driving any other small, like it's 25 to 26 foot long. You just back it right in the spot. Super easy. Super easy.
That's important to mention too, right? Because even for myself, I do know some of those differences, but my brain automatically goes to that, super large, overly luxurious, but there's definitely a scale, and where the customer may fall on that scale is definitely something that can be discovered.
For sure. So I like to, well, first of all, when a person comes in, it's my job to make people happy, literally. In this line of work, if you've got any other idea, it's wrong. That customer should come first. And I remember years ago, I'd moved to South Dakota, I'd sold my business, and I didn't even have a job at the time, right? I was just kind of semi-retired and went to church. They're like, "So Brother Wood, what do you do for a living?" And I thought to myself, make people happy. I didn't know what it was going to be, but it's been RVs ever since.
Wow.
And I really love that. I love the fact that my job is making people happy. I just had a customer leave just before this podcast, and it was just that. We took the RV out, met with his wife at work. They brought their dog, their son. We spent time in that RV, and they're legit happy. I mean, that makes me happy inside. What a great way to make a living.
That is. You make it sound super exciting.
Yeah.
And I love that, our customers can come here and have that experience with somebody like you and be walked through that process, because at the end of the day, everyone is looking for the perfect RV, right? But that definition is different to different people. What would you say to that, to the customer that's walking in and is like, okay, I need this, 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 and this, and I want a Class A?
First of all, it's like, if you're sick, you go to a doctor and you're like, "Hey doctor, I've got a headache and a stomach ache." And he's like, if that doctor just says, "Take these 2 pills and call me in a couple of days," you need a new doctor, right? So that's like this. When a customer comes in, personally, the way I do it, I kind of interview that customer, right? Like, where are you going? What are you doing? How long are you going to be in there? How many people? Do you have pets? And let's talk about it. Your budget. We need to know that. I don't want to put you in something you can't afford, or I don't want to show you stuff that's going to be offensive to you in any way, too expensive or not nice enough. So I think that's worst thing that people do is they get on the internet and they listen to all this stuff that people say about, this type of motorhome or that one or this brand or that one. What they really should do is go see a doctor, right? Go sit down with the doctor and get diagnosed and see what the cure is. Because there's a prescription for that person. And I tell people, I'm like, whenever they come in, they say, "Woody, I want the perfect one. I've got all this stuff I want." And they'll come in with a laundry list of stuff. And I tell them, I'm like, "Look, I will help you find as many things as we can on that list." I said, "But I want to tell you something. The good Lord doesn't come down that I know of and hand build these coaches just for you when you show up.
What? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. So, I figure if we can hit, I tell people, I said, let's scale it between 1 and 8, not 9, not 10. There's no perfect RV, right? I figure if we can hit 70 to 80% of your hit list, that's a home run in this industry. And if you hit 70 to 80%, start camping. Stop messing around. So many people have watched so much YouTube on trying to find this perfect RV, this unicorn that doesn't exist, that they waste months, even years. I mean, we all get older every year, right? So they're wasting their healthier, younger years searching for this unicorn they'll never find. And I like to just, like I say, let's get a prescription written out for you and get you started right now with the right medication.
I love that. There really isn't any perfect RV. The goal here is to find what is the perfect match for that person and is close to that to get them really going, like you said, not waiting to, every detail down to the wire. There's such a variety in the selection and the different options, like you just explained, between gas, diesel, and the level of luxury that you want and size, that you should definitely be able to find that.
The perfect RV is the one that you and your loved ones take off, start traveling, and seeing all the things that you've dreamed about seeing. That's the perfect RV.
That's awesome.
That's the perfect RV.
I love that. So, Woody, tell me a little bit more about who you feel is an ideal type of traveler to fit into a Class A. I know that they vary in size, but what does that typically look like so that someone can maybe identify if that's a good starting point for them?
Right. So, first of all, I'd say like everyone, right? Because there's a size for everyone. But in reality, that's not true, right? Some people, they like, and I know we're going to talk about this another time, but the little bees. It's just 1 or 2 people, and they're just going to be for the weekend or something. They jump in a little bee van, zip around town, go up to the mountains, and they're back home. A little C class, right? Get out. It's kind of that middle way. They'll go out and spend a week or 2 weeks. When I do my interview, and I'll go back to this, it's so important. You got to see the doctor. You've got to be interviewed. You got to know. You got to bring out those points. How long are you going for? How many people's going? If they're full timing, there's nothing better than a big old beautiful Class A. You've got huge slide outs. It's built to handle it.
Right.
It's residential furniture, residential plumbing.
That's a good point.
Yeah, residential fridge. It's got built-in generators, solar. A lot of times they'll have lithium. I mean, they're designed for that long-term stay. And in this industry, you kind of get what you pay for too. I mean, there's a reason some of those coaches are $1 million. They're like $1 million home. You know what I mean? Like they're very nice. They're very capable. And so I would say during that interview, we can determine if that's really the coach that's for them.
Got it. That makes a lot of sense. And it seems like I know a lot of retirees will be typically the type that might go full time, and you'll see them in that diesel pusher because you just explained that it really is built for that longer stay. So length of time is a huge factor.
Thermal value.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. It does seem like because Class A's tend to have more space for living and, glamping, I like to call it, because you're not totally out there, but you're getting on the road. We do see a lot of families often in Class A's. Would you consider that something that you see pretty common with like an entry level Class A or?
Absolutely. And let's face it, let's be honest. You can get into a brand new Class A motorhome. I'm going to name a brand. Integra, that's one we sell. You can get into a brand new Integra Class A motorhome with slide outs that's absolutely beautiful, fully functional for you and your family for $100,000 or less, right? So that's the price point of many Class Bs. So it's all about what works for you. To me, if I'm going to be going out and I'm going to be spending some time with my family, and maybe you want to pull a Jeep or you got a Razor, you're pulling to the dunes, you got 4 kids in there and you and your wife and the dune buggy on the back, and you go out to Glamis and you set up, you're going to want that space. People coming in, they've been playing hard out in the dust. They're covered in dust and grime out there, working on their Razor or their Jeep or whatever. They come back and they want a cool spot to kick back. Everyone's got a spot to sit, lay down. Mama may be back there sleeping and don't want to be bothered. So in that big old Class A, she can shut the door, got the AC blowing cold in there.
Gotcha.
Everybody else is scarfing down food and get ready for the next ride. So it's the sky's the limit. You really, like I say, come back to the round table, come down and do that initial evaluation to find out what's right for you.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Go to someone who cares. Go to someone who cares. If they don't care, they need to put you first. The buyer, that's first in this, right? It's not chump change. It's a big deal. So that customer needs to come. Number one, your salesperson needs to be writing that stuff down that they hear.
What's important to you.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. If you want to make a lasagna, you better have ingredients before you go to the grocery store. That's why the same thing with RVs. If you've got a goal and you want to achieve these things, write it down.
I believe
Come
in that.
see me. We'll make a lasagna together and it'll be perfect. Right? But you got to have the ingredients.
That's a really great point, because even though what we're trying to do here is, inform people and give them as much information as possible on what are the differences and who would likely be the Class A buyer, that's only going to get you so far. The next step is really to, like you said, be with someone that cares, know exactly what you're looking for, or at least what lifestyle you typically live, and let the expert, someone like you, guide to what direction is going to fit. And that back and forth of being able to see if that's fitting your list of ingredients for lasagna is going to make the difference.
That's exactly right. I cannot tell you how many times I've had customers come in and they're like, Woody, we've seen this on the internet. We've seen this. We know it's going to be perfect. You take them out and you show them that coach and they're like, oh, I don't have room. Or this doesn't fit me at all. It's not right for them. It was right for the person who did that video and it fit their needs.
Sure, yeah.
But that's a niche. We need to find your niche, what works for you. And so, as you can see, I always refer back to the worst thing they can do is self-diagnose. If you desire to be RVing, get down here. Let's evaluate you and see what you need to make that successful. Because so many people just walk into a place and buy the wrong thing because of eye candy. We need to make sure that's going to do the job you need it to do, that you're not just buying something because someone else bought it, some family member or friend or some YouTuber.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that that's important as we talk about, because I do want to go into some of those standout features that you kind of mentioned. But even if some of these things sound great, it doesn't mean that it's automatically the perfect fit for you.
Exactly.
It's just a good starting point of saying, these are my interests as far as those different features. So on a quick bullet point list, what are some of the standout or most desired features that a Class A provides that some of the other types may be different, and this makes it unique with the Class A?
Well, and I mentioned it earlier on in the podcast, in my personal experience, it's that panoramic view. You take your little iPhone or whatever and you do that panoramic picture, how it's just vast, from corner to corner. That's what driving a Class A is. It sets you up proud in the front. It's got glass wraps all the way around you. So let's face it, to get somewhere, you got to drive there. And usually it's a pretty good distance, right?
Yep.
Especially if you're going cross country, you're going to the Great Lakes, you're going to Yellowstone or whatever. There's a lot of beautiful real estate you're driving by.
That's true.
When you're in a Class A, you can see it all. The sky, the road, because it's setting up very proud in that seat. You can set up, you know what I mean? You're really setting up in that windshield.
Yep.
You can see everything. It's a real difference compared to your car or truck where you're sitting in there and you've got a little window in front of you. In that Class A, you're setting up and it's amazing.
That is a solid point, because I've sat in Class A's before and you do get that feeling just as soon as you sit in the driver's seat.
And just the quality of products in there. Like I mentioned before, high-end tile floors, decorative crown molding, and
washer and dryer.
You
can get that sometimes in another style, but
king bed.
That's a good point.
And the finest of qualities of stuff. I've got coaches, the entire wall is a slide out. I mean, it's just huge. You get there, you hit the button, it just opens up. You've got this huge living space, all hydraulics, auto leveling, multiple AC units. I don't know. It's they're in a class of their own if that's what you need.
Right. Okay, thank you so much for that. Yeah, this is making me fall in love with Class A's all over again. I know that they were the most kind of traditional style of RVs, at least in my mind, from my own experience. My grandparents were RVers and they had a Class A. So to me, it's very classic. And there are so many different options today that I do think that sometimes people just jump into like, what's the newest thing? Whereas there's always new technologies being put into Class A. So they've changed so much over time. Satellite, yep.
Satellite TV's coming on a lot of these now, Starlink. And I was going to say too, like used to, you were always limited by length, like, oh, the campsites aren't long enough. Well, they've been doing these campsites for decades and they know they're getting longer and longer. People are buying, toy haulers and buses and all these things over the years. They know that they need that extra space to accommodate all these bigger rigs. And so it's much more common nowadays. You can roll in with a big rig and they have plenty of places to park them.
That's awesome.
It's not like the old days.
Yeah, that's really awesome. I've also seen even just a lot more, at least here in Arizona, homes are being built with RV garages.
Correct.
Sometimes there's a restriction on land and space, just because here we're building all the time so rapidly. But there does seem to be a lot more options for the larger rigs.
Right.
Whereas I feel like that may have been a downfall in the past, that if you weren't on an acre, you didn't really have anywhere to park it. But it does, maybe you can speak to that. It does seem to me that there are more options.
I was going to address that. As far as a lot of people think, oh, it's super expensive. What am I going to do? I can afford this payment. Let's say they're a payment buyer. Oh, I can afford that coach, but I don't know about the insurance and the parking it and all that, because they're thinking like a car. Insurance on an RV is super cheap. It is very affordable. It's not what you think. They can Google it. It's very cost effective. And as far as where you store it, if you don't have a place to store it at home or a friend's house, storage is not as expensive as you think. You pay equivalent to what you get. So if you want the highest in, security with guards and everything possible, indoor storage that's environmentally controlled your coach, and, where they come in, they literally will put chargers on your batteries for you and tend it and clean it ever so often. Yeah, you're going to pay a premium for that. But if you want a place to park a coach that you don't care about all that and you'll just put a cover on it and you just need a spot to park it, it's very affordable. And another thing is, if you're using it a couple of times a month, it doesn't have to be near your house necessarily. Well, if you're willing to drive, say 5 or 10 minutes away from town, the further you get out of town, the cheaper and cheaper, more affordable these RV parking spots are. Because, they got lots of land out there.
That's a good point.
So it's very affordable. It's way less than people think it is.
Thank you for covering that. I don't think that that's something we've, discussed previously, but it definitely fits for this largest almost size vehicle, or in one of the categories of the larger size vehicles. So I appreciate that. I have one more question for you, even though this has been so informative and I hope super helpful to everyone listening. If you were a first-time buyer, what is some advice that you would give before deciding to get into a Class A, or someone just right on the verge of making that decision?
I would evaluate your usage, right? So, as I alluded to before, how many people's going? What's the budget? How many times are you going to use it a month? How far are you traveling at a time, right? All of these. Do you have a place to park it at your home? All of these are things that need to be discussed. What do you need to achieve all that? How many do you need to sleep comfortably? Do you need identified beds for every person, or do you need things that can make into beds? You say, well, your room for your grandkids. Are your grandkids actually coming along? We don't know, right? So,
Sure.
So those are all things. if your dream is that your grandkids will come along, you need to make sure that you have enough spaces that can turn into beds, right? Or enough space to where if it's, say, for mom and dad, right? We're grandma and grandpa, we're getting this coach and we're going to come see you grandkids, right? Well, then the grandkids are like, we want to stay with grandma and grandpa. Well, that happens. So you need to think about that and have a spot ready for them that you can make into a bed. And that's one thing a lot of RVs are really good at.
Yeah, that flexibility of conversion. That's an awesome, awesome thing to point out to people. Well, I hope that anyone listening to this wants to come and visit you if they want to come see the doctor.
Come see the doctor.
Yes, but we definitely have all that information available online. So thank you so much for the conversation, Woody, and all of your knowledge. It's been great to chat with you.
Well, I enjoyed being here. And, I love La Mesa RV. Sorry, I've got to give one for the team here. This is the best company I've ever worked for. Everyone here is awesome. It's the best job ever. I really like and appreciate everyone I work with.
Thank you for that. That's a really important thing, and I think it shows in how you interact with your customers and all the information you were able to share with us today. So thank you.
You're welcome.
That wraps up today's episode of The Perfect RV Match. A huge thank you to Woody for sharing his knowledge and helping us break down the world of Class A motorhomes, from gas models to luxury diesel pushers. Whether you're dreaming of a cross-country adventure or full-time RV living, a Class A could be the ultimate way to travel in comfort and style. If you're ready to explore these coaches for yourself, click the link below to get started, and don't forget to subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode that could help you find your perfect RV match. Until next time, happy travels.